Good morning, students. In this paper of compulsory English, as far as your second term is concerned, you are supposed to study 4 prose units and 4 poems, as well as presentation skills and leadership styles. So, your syllabus of the second term consists of 4 poems and 4 prose units, as well as presentation skills and leadership skills. So in this lecture we are going to talk about, or we are going to discuss the poem prescribed for the second term, which is entitled as The Ballad of Father Gilligan. The poem is composed or written by Irish poet William Butler Yeats. So he was born in 1865 and died in 1939. He was born at Dublin. So William Butler Yeats was also awarded Nobel Prize for Literature in 1923. He was also influenced by Hindu philosophy and Hindu religion. He was greatly influenced by the Hindu theosophist Mohini Chatterjee. The present poem, The Ballad of Father Gilligan, is written in the form of a ballad. So it consists of 4 lines, or we call it as a quatrain, where the second line rhymes with the 4th one. The poem is a religious one. The poem tells us about the omniscient nature of the God. It tells us about how faith is important in religion. It also tells us about how God is merciful, how God shows His grace or compassion towards the persons who loves Him, towards the persons who worship Him. The poem is also about the dedication. The poem is also about faith. The poem is also about the nature of human beings. The poem deals with the priest who is named as Father Gilligan. The priest is old one and he is tired one. He has to offer services to the persons who are on the deathbed or the persons who are already died. So he is under stress. The stress of duty, the stress of work is there. He is worried because half of his flock is already dead and most of the persons are on the deathbed. And while he was nodding in a chair, suddenly a message came for him that he has to attend the vigil, he has to keep the vigil. And here the priest complains, the priest goes that he is not getting a rest, he is not getting a peace, and he has not a moment of respite. And in that complaining mood, when he realized that he is against the God's wish, he is against the God's will, he begged pardon and asked the God to forgive him. After that, he falls asleep. He could not get up. Till the next morning. And when he got up from his sleep, he realized that he was supposed to attend. He was supposed to be at the person who is on the deathbed to offer the prayers. He hurriedly went to see the person who is about to die. And the wife of the person saw the priest once again, and she said, "The priest, you have returned." The priest was surprised when he got this answer from that lady, and the priest realized that it was the God who had sent one of his angels to offer the prayer. So he tells us about the loving and compassionate love and mercy of the God. So God is loving, God is merciful, and God also takes care of all the persons who loves him. We are going to read this poem, and so it will help us to understand the message of the theme of the poem. So it is written in the ballad form. Ballad is a kind of poetry where music, dance and dialogues are common thing. So in this poem also we are going to see a conversation. You are going to come across a dialogue between a priest and other persons. The opening stanza of the poem is: the old priest, Peter Gilligan, was weary night and day, for half his flock were in their beds or under green swords. The first 4 lines of the poem, the first quatrain of the poem, tells us about the physical condition of the central character of the poem. The Father Gilligan is the central character. He is a priest and he is tired. The opening line tells us about the priest, the old priest, Peter Gilligan. So Peter Gilligan is a priest who is an old one and who is tired and who is worrying night and days, who is under stress, who is suffering from sorrow. For half of his flock were in their beds or under green swords lay. It means that almost all of his parishioners, almost all of his persons from the church, they are either dead or they are sick. So this is a really bad thing for the father who is old, who is a priest, and he is unable to tolerate this situation. In the second stanza, once while he nodded on a chair at the moth hour of eve, M-O-T-H, moth hour. So moth hour refers to twilight. In the second stanza, the poet here writes about the Father Gilligan. Father Gilligan is in his chair and it is a twilight, it's evening time. So another man sent for him and he began to grieve. The Father Gilligan, who has just returned from offering services to the person who were on the deathbed, and he was in a chair, he was resting for a time, he was resting for a while, and suddenly a person came there. He was a poor man and he brought a message, and that message was that the Father Gilligan is wanted to offer, Father Gilligan is expected to offer prayers for the person who are going to die. And it really grieved the Father Gilligan. In the third stanza, Father Gilligan started to complain. Father Gilligan said, I have no rest, nor joy, nor a peace. Even though he is a father, even though he is a priest, it is his duty to perform religious rites, religious worship. But he is not getting a rest. After all, he is also human beings. So he has no rest, he has no joy, nor peace. For people die and dies. So there is no end of dying. People are suffering from people are suffering from diseases. They are dying, and Father has to be there to offer prayers. Father has to be there to keep vigil. And after cried he, God forgive. My body spake, not I. When the father complained, when the father grudged that he is not getting rest, he does not have any joy, he does not have any peace, for people are dying and he is not getting a moment of respite. He realized that he is committing a mistake, he realized that he is not following the way of the God, and it is not good to complain against the God, and he asked the God to pardon him, he begged the God to forgive him, and he said that, God, it's not my soul, it's my body which is complaining. It means that He is exhausted, he is fatigued, he is tired, he is old priest, and he is expected to be at the deathbed of the person who are going to die, so that the person may receive the blessings of the God. After that, he knelt. Peter Gilligan, old priest, or the Father Gilligan, knelt, and leaning on the chair, he prayed and fell asleep. So Father Gilligan realized that it is a mistake to complain against the God. It is not good to go against the God, and it is really a blunder from his part. And he realized that he should pardon. He should beg the God to pardon him, to excuse him, to forgive him. And Father Gilligan knelt down. He offered a prayer, and he begged God. He prayed the God to forgive him for using bad words in a moment of anxiety or in moment of torment. So he prayed, and the moth hour went from the fields, and the stars began to peep. So evening passed, and now night prevailed. So Father Gilligan fall asleep. Father Gilligan, after offering prayers to God, after asking God to pardon him for the wrong words, he fall asleep. And after that, what happens? They slowly into millions grew, and leaves shook in the wind, and God covered the world with shade, and whispered to mankind. So this stanza tells us about the evening has been passed, and in place of evening there is a darkness, and there is a night time, and in night time one can see the stars in the skies. The entire area, or you can call it the locality, is covered by the night, and in that night one can see the stars. So we can call it as a glory of the God. Upon the time of sparrow chirp, when the moths come once more, the old priest Peter Gilligan stood upright on the floor. So in this way the night passed, and the morning came. And at the morning time, Father Gilligan awake, and he realized that he was expected to be at the person who is going to die, and he has to be expected to offer the prayers to the person who was there, who was invited there to offer prayers, and he hurriedly decided to rush towards him. The next of the part we will see tomorrow.